Welcome back to the Football Experience episode 31, and this show aims to unpack the stories of football players, coaches, administrators, football journalists, just to name a few. My name is Kels Pablo Waleboa and I'll be your host. Today, our guest is a guest of keynote. This man wears so many hats that I don't even know where to begin in his introduction. He's an entrepreneurial lecturer, a project manager, an IT professional, a businessman, the author of A Fool's Paradise, sports administrator. Hey guys, I can go on. He's also a coordinator of the Sports for Life Botswana, a course director, a sports manager, and also sports management courses for BNSC. This man is also a resident analyst on the Yarna FM Sunday Soccer Show. He's also the founder of this magnificent football experience and the owner of Palape All Stars Football Club. I know there are so many, but we'll get there. Ladies and gentlemen, give me the opportunity, and it is an honor to have Mr. Molefhi Kannemeyer Obenne as our guest. Hello, sir. How are you?
Kels Pablo, thank you, and I'm honored to be here, and I'm gratefully humbled by your invitation.
But before we go any further, we're going to do this first episode in Oretana, part 1 of the life of Mr. Kannemeyer Obenne, his football experience. But before we go any further, let's listen to Tiko as he speaks to how he knows Molefhi.
My name is Tiko Kamati. I'm a football administrator and I'm an ICT professional. How do I know Molefhi Urkopaniko Lotsanika 2002? Rebala Form 4. We're in the same class from Lotsani. We went to Monash, Lokwane Tartana, the same courses, the same classes, and beyond that we remained close until today. Then how best would you describe Molefhi? Molefhi is a go-getter, chemotoloring how we relate, can do me lessons, can do what I do, how can do what I he will be there for you. He will always level best for up to say for and so now he has helped me a lot. What have you learned from him that you will continue to apply in your life? He's the one that introduced me to football administration in 2010. Like when I go Palaposters, I wanted to join Palaposters. He suggested that I join Matevijan, and when I joined Matevijan, he gave me everything that I needed to thrive in the football administration side. Then you can see from that point I never looked back until today. So he has given me life in the side of football. What was more fairly football like? Life like I don't have basketball or football. I think he started it that is where we started playing football. From there, Kivanavata Simula, the Palapao Stars, and he never looked back. What was his nickname growing up? Dina Lahoy, Lazaratin, Kiskuta.
Before we conclude, can I tell
played basketball, football, but he started having interest in go Monash. That is where we started the school team here socially, then about some kind of school team. So that is when he went on to do his academy at Palapao Stars, and the rest is history. What was his nicknames? Amola Narimita Sport, though he didn't like it. Handling and Kannemeyer,
so let's talk about your nickname here. I think this is the first for people.
Yeah, at primary, senior school, junior school, there are always where we tease each other. So they used to call me Squad, probably because, my head is a bit protruded at the back. So they just wanted to tease me. So that was there.
Was that the only nickname you've ever had in your life?
They also called me, when I was at primary, I was called Babalaz.
Babalaz?
Yeah.
Why? Was it because Matona na tswalegile.
No, because I used to sing so loudly during the assembly. I'm someone who's actually energetic, and I'll put my all in whatever I do. So at the junior school, we used to sing this other song, "Is Ever Shine," and we used to tease it around and say, "Is Ever Shine" as well. So what teacher said, "Hey, open up Mori Babala." So the guys now started to call me that Babala.
What are next time or thabeletse?
Yeah, no problem.
One time.
Yeah.
I know you for a man of quotes. Currently, which quotes do you live by that inspire your life?
Yeah, I read William Nixon, The Work That I Was Born to Do. One thing that he said, because he was speaking about 12 fundamental principles, and the one fundamental principle that he spoke about is that as people, we have been trained to believe in scarcity, while the world is actually, our oyster, or this is a play field for us, to actually realize our dreams. Because as individuals, we have inner riches, but because we've been trained to believe in scarcity, to say there is nothing else, you can't do this, you believe the narrative, and you are unable to, exhibit that inner reach that you have and express yourself. And part of it, as he went on, he spoke of killers of instinct, to say because we are being trained in routine, we don't want to be criticized, we like negative discussions. So it means now, because of that, it boils down to you now being, framed towards scarcity. But he said, the cultivator to inspiration is you need to be open, you need to be criticized, you need to receive that feedback from any other person, you need to be open-minded, you need to always laugh, bring the smile to the table. Yeah. So that alone, it's motivation, and you don't need to be rigid, you need to be flexible and hear what people are saying about you. And I know there's one guy who speaks about healthy skepticism. That is to say, whatever you are doing, let other people critique it. And as they critique it, they need to bring you information so that you learn again into that. That's how, you'll be able to understand a lot of things.
I think now today we're just gonna go back and find that inner riches of who is Molefhi Kannemeyer Obenne. Let's go back to, where were you born? Where did you grow up?
Yeah. I'm born in a family of 3 guys. I have an older brother and a younger brother. I'm in the middle, I'm the separator.
Second born.
Yes. And then my brother, there's something that he taught me. As I was growing up, he amazed me. He could pick a kick-off magazine at the time, Yabuma 1991, 1992, and he will still read it in 1996, 1997. He'll take archives, and I always looked at him, and his discussion were never premised about what is happening now. He'll watch a game, and he will not be interested in the game. He will tell you something that is not there, and because I was younger than him, I will try to argue with him. But as time went on, I realized that this man was actually an encyclopedia. And then came my younger brother. He's epileptic. He couldn't go on with his education. But he's someone who's very conservative, someone who's ambitious. And, I actually learned a lot from him. I taught him cricket. I also taught him rugby. And, he's a traditional follower of that. And we grew up, my father supported him, Kaizer Chiefs. Unfortunately, my father didn't marry my mom, but I'm still a big friend of him. And we supported Kaizer Chiefs. It was only when I learned other things that I left Kaizer Chiefs. And, in Palape, I stay along the river, and I call that the beach.
Your beach.
Yeah, like back in the days, there used to be grass along the river bank or along the river like that. And we used to have grounds there, the Bizabo Wimbledon. It was so nice. Like, those celebrations on your knee when you slide. That's what we used to do back in the days. And so, Molapawala, you go, you swim, and then from there you go play football, you swim. You can call it whatever you want to call it, but we're swimming, you know. That was swimming for our times. That's how we actually grew up, yeah.
Which schools did you go to? Just start from primary, preschool, and from preschool to tertiary, and probably now?
I never did preschool. I went straight to Sorona Primary School. I believe my mom couldn't afford, or my father couldn't afford the preschool thing. And then I went to Mabogo CGSS, where Palaposters was later housed. And then, like Tigo said, I then met Tigo at Lotsane. At primary school, I used to play football in Rebej. You know, something that I must tell you is that these things are yeah? Like during the game. My grandmother was actually a prophet. And then there used to be this other guy, his grandmother, in Ele Bamazezuru, you know, so when we were young at primary, we could even go to a game. But it was Ramonati. And we were also good, you know. We could win games, you know. Like we'll just on your pocket because that not the like yes, like you know, to make that sound look like you and the guys will know. Let's bet. And we used to hammer those guys like that. So yeah. So you
know, what besides, you know, what other hobbies did you have growing up as a kid?
I was very naughty. You know, I could leave, you know, home in the morning. I'll leave all lady of half 7 like you. So one day, and then I got an accident. The scars are still here. So my mom was meant to come to school the very same day. And there were these other boys. So he used to borrow me a pencil, a new one. After school, they were like, "But a pencil is a bit." It was called Michael. So every day after school, I have to run. Every day after school, I have to run. Because got the pencil, like, and you know what he will do? There was another guy called Guero. He didn't know a pencil, and then I will borrow a pencil from that guy. That guy was his friend. Hey. And then after school, these guys will be chasing me. So, the lady came to school, and when she came, because I had that accident, I was like, no, these guys, that's what they did to me. So, and they were beaten.
Guys, you know. But you speak of a lot about family and, you know, growing up. Obviously, we pick up a lot of things that molded us to continue. What was it for you?
It was about me being better. My brother, people even still wonder why I support BDF. My brother, in 1996, he was hired by BDF. And I have another uncle, he was also hired by BDF, but he's mentally challenged now. So I developed that love for that. And my brother was someone who was naughty. So him going to BDF now, you know, it groomed him.
The older brother.
Yeah, the older brother. He became disciplined. And, you know, I liked the way they helped him. Even now, he still has his own stories, but at least, they groomed him in a better way. So that's what I liked. And my mom, I have to be honest, we never really had best of relationships growing up because I was very naughty. I remember even at school, there was one guy who was a Tswana, you know. I used to be troublesome. So one day he saw my mom at the hospital. My mom started to say a lot of things about me. When my mom got home, then she told me about the guy. I was like,
Go ahead.
You know, that's how I was. And you know, my mom was not very fond of the way I reacted, things that I was doing outside. But you know, there was always that antagonistic, you know, a representation of myself. This person will say the good thing, this person will say the bad thing. So she never really knew where to position me. And, being a parent, you usually concentrate on the negative things and, you want your kid to be better. I think she did well. And I remember even when I had to go to varsity, it was a big issue. She had to make sure that I come to UB. And, I made sure that I own car. Yes, there were always fights. When I went to South Africa, the pastor at church, I was going to spiritual leading church, he had to intervene to say, you can't go there. I was like, what do you mean I can't go there? I never decided for you. You know what I'm saying? So can I go? So it's issues like that, but at the end of the day, it's family. We grew up like that. And it's not best of relationships, but that's how we grew, and I'm really humbled because she grew me to be the person I am, and I value family so much because she was always there for us all the time.
Going now onto family, tell us about your family, because I know you're a family man. Growing up, knowing all of that now, how did it help you be able to build your own family?
When I was 12, there's a tragic story that happened between my mom and my father that I cannot divulge. Yeah. And so they went separate ways. It was a matter of death and life. But as I was growing, I learned not to judge my father, his doings or whatever that is, and also the problems that he had with my mom. And like I said, my father is the one who actually brought me into football. So we had that cordial relationship because there was something that we related through. And with my mom, because I was actually staying with her and she was giving me the shelter, the food and everything. So these were two separate people living differently. So as I was growing, I needed to find peace in, making sure that I don't bring a situation of my father and my mom into my life, even though people will say history made man. But I wanted to, to erase that, You know how a wipe does when it rains, eh? Yes, so that's what I wanted to bring and say, I need to have my own family. Those imperfections, I must make them perfect now. And, even if you can talk to the Major David Bright, I remember one day, something that he pointed out to me to say, the reason why I have this relationship with you is because of 1, 2, 3. Phil Makwengu once said the same to his son, Pepe Zino, to say, the reason why, I like Molefhi is because of 1, 2, 3. So that, and my family was there when we were doing the first, the launch of Botswana Football Fools Paradise first edition, and people were happy to see them at the launch.
Are you married?
No, I'm not married.
And how many kids do you have?
I have 2 kids. The first one I found there, and I took as my own, so I have 2 kids.
Well, I'm very much happy that now I know. I remember earlier on I did a Facebook post asking people if they had a conversation with you, what would they want to learn from you. It's funny how some of the comments were, these ones, how old is Molf? What is your favorite meal? And so those are one of the questions that I can bring up with this particular conversation.
I'm currently 39 years of age, born 1984. I could have long got married. I think that was 2016. I had wanted to do that. Family issues and other things. Sometimes, like I said, it all boils down to relationship that you have with people. And then, because there's a saying that says time heals everything. Yeah. So you want people to simmer down, cascade, and take their own time, to think things through. So I think the time will come, and now it's up to God to say, this is the right time for you to take the call. But to me, I'm content with where I am, and I'm content with everything that I have.
Ojay.
It was a player.
The football journey, Molefhi, when did your relationship with football start?
It started primary. From when we were growing up to go beaching, that's how we started. Then go primary. It was very tough. I remember I only played one game during pre-season, I would call it. And I was playing number 8. Kills. I don't know where this other ball was coming from, and I hammered that goalkeeper guy. I was doing standard 4 at the time when we played this under 12 games. I scored a screamer. I didn't know what to do. At primary, when you're celebrating, you even pick the soil and then throw it into the air. That was the feeling. So now, as we transited towards the league, other guys came in. There was this other guy, they picked him ahead of me. That's why I never played that much go primary. And tell you what, this other time we're clearing the ground because there were patches of grass here and there. So as we were clearing the ground, this guy who I was fighting with for the position, he was on the other side. So as I was shoving, I hit him on the
So now you were clearing it on him.
and he got injured. That's how I actually played. Just that game.
Which teams have you played for going for Hanzokol?
Yes, go junior school. Because I'm like, I call myself football. At junior school, when I got there was basketball, traditional dance. I was more into books than anything go junior school. But basketball, second term, third term, somewhere there. So I only played for under 17. And we only trained for one day. Yeah, we played against PSS. We won. It was just the 2 schools there, and then on the weekend we had to go to Mahalape. The first game we drew 2-2. I scored at the second goal, which was an equalizer. The second game we lost 4-1. And when we got there was this other guy. Like we stayed, some miles apart along the beach. That guy was older than us. They hammered us. And I couldn't say anything. But I know this guy was older. They took us to...
So you felt cheated? Like you could have won?
Our football has been delayed by this days, I found that guy. I never knew he's schooling there and he's still in our level. And that's how we lost. And we only played those games. I think it was around 3 games. At senior level, like guys like Tico was playing football. I asked them what they were doing there. And I played basketball as kid. Like, we had good guys, good players. So I never bothered myself. So I played basketball. And, during lunch, guys will come, will discuss games. And like I'm saying, that is why these guys ended up calling me these other nicknames. So we'll talk about games that happened during the weekend. So as I realized that I'm losing the conversation, or this guy has got more points than I have, I would just listen to the mistakes that he's making. So there was one guy who once said Macbeth. I was like, what about TV? I was Macbeth. So I can't listen to you because you're going to distort every detail. So I was done.
Hey, guys, but I know we're yet to, talk about the many hats that you wear in football. But in a snippet, take us through your journey from football-wise. Where up to now? You mentioned you were playing, but then what transpired in those years, and how many years has it been?
Yeah, in between time, I was still playing Modi Strating. And when you go to varsity now, that's where I realized that I don't belong to basketball. Because the guys will come wearing these long, those, I don't know what they call them.
Underarms.
Underarms. And then they will put on the vest.
The basketball jersey vest.
The guy will be putting on the 3/4. Plus there will be tights. This guy will have double boots, like an inner and then another.
I enjoyed it.
Exactly. So when the guy goes to training, it takes time. to dress and undress. And I come with Leche Sanyana there and I'm done. I'm like, no, this is not my place. And they'll be having to jurege, bands here, there, towels. I was like, no, this is too much. He was like, no, okay. Good or bad player, it didn't matter, but it was too much. Then I went to football. We started off with social football, and then we got into the league. And guess what? When I was growing up, I played as a midfielder. I played as a right back, and when I got to school, I was actually a striker because of my height. Mm-hmm. And we're exposed to rigorous training. I was trained by Linda Buthelezi, a former South African legend, 1996, and also at a later stage we had Kenneth Moroja, former Kaizer Chiefs. It was a good exposure in terms of training. We also had gym inside the school at primary, junior, senior. I never got exposed to that. So and because that school that we actually schooling at, it was actually one of the elite schools. So elite, it means we as Botswana, we are paid for by the government, and all these other kids, their school fees were paid by their parents. So for football, how it is. That's why most of them never go basketball. So that's how now it gave us time to shine as most of Botswana go football. And that's how I grew love for football. And I used to do a lot of trips. I used to be a staunch Kaizer Chiefs supporter. We will organize games week in, week out. At night, we will be playing, because we used to play our leagues in the morning, and then in the afternoon or at night, then we go watch Kaizer Chiefs. That's how, then I was so immersed into football until I came to Botswana.
And then what happened after you landed in BW?
After landing in BW, in between time when I was still that side, there was a team called Tipto Boys in our hood, Kotomaritos, that I used to play for. Later stage, I went to Palapet Swallows. After I came back, I used to be expensive. I have to be honest. Now, that basketball guy was me in football.
In football?
Yes. I'll come dressed top to
elegant.
Bottom. Kaizer Chiefs, Nike. That was me, that bag. Then I go to training. This other kid doesn't have soccer boots. This other kid doesn't have socks. And I found these Madalas that still saying the same things that they were saying at that time. So I felt out of place, even though people will still wonder why I left the football. It was because of things like that. So I felt I could rather take care of these guys than these guys take care of me.
And how old were you at that time?
I was 24 when I finished my varsity, 24, 23. Yeah.
And already the administration part of you was unpacking.
It was unpacking. And at the time, we also wanted to bring in an e-ticket to Botswana. We actually started the e-ticket in Botswana in 2010. That's why we brought the idea. So I felt I had more solutions than to be playing, because football is lacking. I play against this guy who looks up to me. This guy might even injure me because he's jealous of me. So there were a lot of things. So I had to humble myself and say, let me help these guys better. And I was also cognizant of the other guys who were coming behind to say, if these guys are still saying the same things that I said before I left and they haven't grown, what are these kids actually going to learn? Because I'm at a point where I can't learn anything from these guys. So I'd rather take a back seat and try to help wherever I can.
And I wanna find out where now you started helping, just at low level at that, in order for you to now transit and say, this is where I want to focus. What did you start learning from there?
Yes, in 2008, when I was still at varsity, there's a hood team called Tinkwana, where we used to, December tournament traditionally, play like that. And then Mr. Lamastawa came into the fore. He wanted to use football as part of, his community service, whatever you can call it, because he was the MP for the area. So he said to me with the other guys, please come and help me organize this tournament. That's how we actually started. And at the time, I was still playing. I continued playing while I was still doing administration. But because of that now, I would play when we didn't have players.
Yeah.
But once we had good players, then I'll coach. That's how now I slowly but surely started to transit into administration. 2012, I was approached by one guy called Kabonyana Meleng. Palabos Stars was started in 2011. And he said, we would like you to be part of this team. And this is the same guy whom I was actually working with at Master Warriors tournament. So they said, we need someone who can come and manage. I said, okay. I gave myself a position. I'll be the general manager.
In the team?
Yeah, I got the general manager thing. I have the team. That's where we met Mohamuze Bright, Major David Bright's son. They're both late. He was so ambitious, passionate, and he drew a lot of inspiration from his father. And I remember the day we appointed him as a coach, I went to see the father to say, we have appointed your son as our coach.
This is in Palape All-Star.
Yeah. He had to call his wife. He's like, hey, my bride, come. She never said anything. And that's how actually Major David Bright also started to respect me. Because there were other issues about his son that we managed to contain through football and help him grow as a person.
Which we're going on in the next segment, because now we're getting into Palape All-Stars, and you've already mentioned, Hori, it started in 2011. What ignited or what inspired the foundation of the team? And if we give Umang, it's Wakai,
Yeah, this team was formed by a Nigerian native called Ambrose Chima. They called him Ambi in Palape. There was a lot of talent in a location called Kurumela. And most of these kids were actually from Maboro Junior School. And that's the school that actually schooled at. And then there was that signage, even the transition to say, this is almost in our hood, even though now I stay about 5 kilometers away, but, because of the school. So that's how the team was started. So it had development under 13, 15, and 17. So when these kids were not at school during the second term and the third term, now they were at Palape All-Stars, continue that developmental journey. So that's how the team started. There were a lot of good boys during that time. And I had to go to one guy called Garay Georgian Love. He was training these kids at school. Then I said, we can't be training kids that we don't know. Well, actually, there's someone who sees them day in and day out. And the guy is a security guard. Yeah? So I used to call him a manager, because there was a joke where someone said, "Gima ninja."
Yeah.
So like a game So and
that was a security guard for you.
Yeah, then I said, this guy knows everyone who goes in and out. So, we need him as well to manage on our side. He was part of our development team. Later on, he became assistant. Later on, he became the coach. He actually helped us. And to me, that guy is the DNA of Palape All-Stars, because he had the relationship with kids from school. He knew all of them. And we were just shining on top of that guy and what that guy brought to the team.
Before we listen to, one of the successors out of Palape All-Stars, one of the questions that people relayed on the Facebook post that I posted asking, what would people want to know from you? Someone said that they would like to know a bit more about Moromutsi Achi Risky Bright. Can you just, what would you say about him and how impactful was he in Palape All-Stars?
Bright was, the late Moromutsi was very impactful. He had I'll call it a confusing character. And most of it he actually got it from his father. But he was someone who was very loving, someone who was very energetic, lively. And I used to say to people, Moromutsi will sell you a happy himself because of how he portrayed himself in certain situations. But when it was time to do work, he was focused. He will even insult you. But after the game, you become friends. And because of that passion, I rided on that as well, to ask him to do other things because he was passionate. He put football in front of him. And you actually had to manage him. Right? because of the passion now, I can even overpromise something.
Yeah.
So now, because he was the coach and I was the GM, so I had to manage situations. So now, when at the time Mr. Chima left Botswana because of other issues, I had to take the team in my own strides now, and own it all together. We tried to bring other people to come and manage it, but it didn't work. And at the time, Bright left, but we were still in touch and in contact. And he was someone who was, very submissive. He will want you to help him with anything that, he wanted help with. He will submit himself. That's how he was, But like I said, there were other issues now. And Palapao Stars helped him to contain some. But once he got out, there was this particular animal now that haunted him away from football. It derailed him. So, as much as he helped the team also was his own refuge. It helped him, to grow better as a person. And as I'm speaking to you, when he passed on, because of the team, he actually got a job at Kaswe International Medium School in Palapao.
And I know you've done wonderful stuff. Now, before we get on to developed players out of Palapao All-Stars, listen to this. This is Hape Muhudziwa saying his 2 cents about Molf.
My name is Hape Muhudziwa. I'm a footballer by profession and I apply my trade in Algeria in a club called Asoshlef. I'll try to answer these questions as best as I can, because the person that I'm actually answering these questions about is it's very special. It's very special. Let me just put it that way. I met Molf. I think by now it has to be 11 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, or 12 years ago if I'm not mistaken. Just meeting him in person, basically. But to know him, I knew him earlier than that. I knew him as a tournament organizer for like the Christmas tournament in Palapao, like about December. But that time I think he was still, all I knew was he was still schooling in South Africa, like the university, and he was the tournament organizer for the Christmas tournaments in Palapao at that time, from around 2008, 9, somewhere there, and 10 also, if I'm not mistaken, if my mind serves me well. But to meet him, I met him, I think, 11, 12 years ago. That's when I actually met him in person. I'll describe him as a very resilient person, persistent, patient. He's an all-in-one kind of a person. He's that kind of a person who carries that personality, who carries that aura that you never find anywhere. He's that kind of a person, honestly. He's that kind of a person, and he's, he has that. When I met him, in the first year that I met him, I think that was around 2012, if not 13. He actually doesn't know that I can recall this incident where he actually applied for a job in Gaps and he was supposed to leave Palapao Stars. Not really leave in that capacity of like leaving the post that he was, the duties in Palapao Stars, but leave town and move to Gaps. And then he actually didn't get the job. And I'm one person who's quite sensitive, or whose heart is like, when something happens to someone, I'm like, they must be feeling really sad and stuff. So I actually asked him, how are you feeling since you were supposed to go to Gaps and, start working? I was like, nah, don't worry, nah, that one is nothing. We move, it's nothing. I said, "Babe, we'll get another one, it's fine." I'm like, this person has just lost out on an opportunity, probably an opportunity to change his life for the better, and he looks this relaxed. That, those are one of the characteristics that really shocked me. And he's more like a trait, one of his traits, you understand? So he's just a magnificent person, resilient, patient. I know he wasn't only patient with me, because I can get a little crazy at times. He knows I can get a little, but I think he's been patient with everyone that he works with. He's patient with himself also. He's patient with everything that that he considers important to his life, to his career, to his job, to everything, family, everything. And the way he has impacted my life that's why I say I can't talk about Molefhi in a minute or two. It's you have to create an hour interview, a space of an hour, so that I can actually tell you about how he actually impacted my life. Part and parcel of the man that I am today, he has had he has had a great hand upon that. He has had part of the molding was his responsibility. You understand? Because he showed me the way in many aspects. The educational part of things, the life part of things. That the first thing that I learned about being appreciative of a parent, I learned it from Morph. That's one thing that he was always emphasizing. Even when I was doing interviews, he would tell me, no, you should tell people that your role model is not Cristiano Ronaldo. I love Cristiano. I don't like Cristiano. I love Cristiano. I love Cristiano so much. So he told me that, instead of telling people that your role model is Cristiano, you should tell people that your role model are actually your parents. Your parents are your role models. So not Cristiano Ronaldo, not whosoever that you see on TV kicking the ball. Let your parents be the role model, the model or the role model that you should be looking at. And I was like, wow. Okay. And then that's when I started looking at my parents from a different angle. That's when I started being the kind of a person who'd actually do everything for my parents, looking at all the sacrifices they've made. And it was all from more. And also on the educational part, he once killed me. I think I was doing Form 2 or something, and then I didn't get good grades. And my parents were angry, and I was at Power Stars at the time. And they were actually called at home to talk about this. The coach was there, the late son of Major David Bright, Mohomuzi Bright, may his soul rest in peace. Morph was there as the representatives from the team, and from there we were actually going for a camp. I think that was on a Friday. He killed me in the car. After that meeting, he killed me. That was one point in my life when I saw Morph angry. I think that was the first and the last time. I think that was the first and the last. I don't want to lie to you. And this is something like 10 years ago, not 12, 11, 2012. He actually killed me. So he touched my life in many, many different aspects. He touched my life in many ways. Many ways. In many ways, to be honest. I think I've already mentioned his resilience, persistence, patience, and I think we share one quality in our lives that I think, I don't want to say I apply it, I think it comes a bit natural to us. Is calmness. Most of the time, Morph is calm. And that's one thing that I realized. after after a very long time, that I'm also a calm person. No rush. Like whenever we are doing stuff, whenever we are carrying out, responsibilities, duties, and everything, this that level of calmness that I've learned from him, that I've seen from him, that I also saw myself portraying and doing without even realizing. I was like, this is the way Morph is calm. I think it's the way I am calm. You understand? So it is something that I will always do. It is something that I will always, patience. I'm also a patient person. Kept with calmness. It is a recipe for for good things to happen to you. If you are calm, if you're patient, if you're resilient, if you have that, that lovable character like the one that he has, is magnificent. That character that impacts positively on your life, on your family before it impacts outsiders, your loved ones, and also the people that you spend your days with at work and everything. Wherever you are hands on. So that's something that I will always apply. That's something that we share, the qualities and the traits that we share, both Morph and I. So I'm blessed. I'm blessed and humbled. You know, when it comes to gratitude, I'm one person who's very thankful. I'm one person who's very humble. Although I'm not really open to a lot of people, I know I like confidentiality a lot. So I'm one person who doesn't really fancy giving out the thanks or ushering out thanksgiving to a person until the work is done. But there are some people who are, who have those kind of seats in your life that they don't really need to be told how thankful we are for them to know how thankful we really are about them. You understand? And Morph is just one of those persons. He's just one of those people to me that I don't need to tell on a regular basis, but just by the fruits, he knows that I'm really thankful. He knows that I will never forget where I come from and where we come from. But I'll do this in honor of your request. I'm really thankful. I'm truly humbled, and I'm truly humbled not only for me, but for the way that what he has given me, he has also dispersed to the upcoming generations, those that are younger than me, because he has never stopped pouring out his heart to the younger generation, to the younger players that he finds in Palab and everything. That heart of love and that heart of, selflessness. I'm blessed and really humbled by what he has done for me. Thank you will never be enough because it's more than a plate full for what he has done for me.
Mov, I've always wanted to see something in you. You're very calm, and today, Gape Mohitsi says this about you. How do you feel?
It's only when you hear from people what you are, then that's when you realize that that's who I am.
And I'm actually teary.
Yeah, you don't blow your own trumpet as a person. And like I said before, it's very important for you to be open, to be flexible. And part of it is to take in what people say about you, so that you learn something that you didn't know about yourself. you also try to improve on being a better person, because it's healthy skepticism. Whatever wrong I've done to Abidal, whatever wrong I've done to whoever, I have to take it in and internalize it. As I listen to Abidal, and I've said this to people, there are two boys in the world whom I feel they epitomize who I am. And it's Hape Mohitsiwa and Kitso Enestemwa.
Which we'll listen to him in a bit.
Those boys are my reflection. Anything, anytime, I'll say those two, they represent me, because they listened to what I said to them. And the patience part of it is, like I said before, time heals everything. You don't need to rush onto anything, but you need to take your time to understand things, and things will unfold. Michael Lofteman spoke of two types of thinking. One is autopilot, the other one is intentional thinking. Autopilot, it's subscription to emotions, being irrational, and being loud at the time, being opinionated. While intentional thinking now, it talks of rationality, being logical, taking time for things, to take the course. So when you sit down with all these two things, you realize that on the autopilot side, we make a lot of mistakes. While on the intentional side now, we have a time to reflect on these other things. I remember the other day I was coaching a team of good guys, I didn't go. Substitute, because of that. But this is the very same guy who will go into the pitch and is going to make mistakes, and I'm also supposed to be patient with him. You understand? So people will not understand those things, because they want things to be done rush, without actually understanding the process part of everything. So it's very, very important that you simmer down, you listen, you watch, and you allow things to unfold. Because the moment you rush things, you'll not know where you went wrong and how you actually got this thing. Good things take time.
Now let's listen to Ernest Mwaha, what he has to say.
Lina Lameke Ernest Mwaha, 22 years of age. I play for Morokule Wanderers Football Club, Molefhi. I met Molefhi 2014 when I was doing my Form 1 in Magogo Junior Secondary School on Molefhi. I joined Gadu Football Academy by then, which happens to be a feeder to the senior team, Palabel Stars Football Club. So Molefhi happens to be the owner of both the academy and the senior team. Molefhi is a humble individual who possesses a lot of positivity, a man of his word, and always confident on whatever he does. He's a very good Samaritan, an advocate from the heavens to be precise. I normally refer to him as a father, my father. He came into my life and turned the tables and gave it meaning. He envisaged an ambitious mindset into me and helped me keep my atrocities at hand. He introduced me to God. He taught me that life is patience, life is perseverance, life is God. We plan and God decides. Even till date, I still resort to the serenity prayer he taught me every day of my life. I believe that indeed we should never be despondent because the weather is bad, neither should we be triumphalist because the sun shines. For trying times calls for adversity, like you always told me. I really appreciate you, my king. You are indeed a father to me. Me and you are a true identity between a relationship between a father and a son. And I believe we are writing a story that will live for 100 years to come. When I count my blessings, I count you twice, my king. May God please bless you abundantly for me. Thank you.
I'm actually emotional. Like, I've always said that you are a humble, a really great person, and we always learn a lot from you. How do you feel?
The Mwaha story, it's not an easy one. Mwaha is actually an orphan. Both his parents passed when he was still under 5. And like I said before, when I look at Abidal, I look at Ngaka, the epitome of who I am. And just listen to Ngaka now. It's like I'm the one who's talking there. Because actually, those are the things that I taught him. And that's my own reflection.
Yeah.
It takes a lot, Kels, to lead people and they listen to you. And I've said people should not judge me on the other 100 players that, they went astray. They must judge me onto using these two. Because behavioral change says, if you've impacted 1 out of 100, you are done. So that's my reflection. It's now when they talk about all these things, they touch me so deeply. And and as we sat down together with Gabe, our thinking was in sync. They always wanted to be professional players. I did everything for Mwaka. You actually have to read from one of the books, my father. That's why he calls me my father, because he doesn't have a father. I'm his father. We took him to Platinum Stars while he was still 15 years old for trials. Took him to University when he was 18. And Gape, I once took Gape Vidal to Platinum Pool to Polokwane City when he was 18. I left him there. And I said, Mona, you have to learn these things, because you said you want to be an international player. And as an international player, you're going to struggle. So let me leave you here. You live on your own. I'll see what I'll tell your parents on the other side. But, they know that I can't just, leave you there. That's how we developed these relationships with these two boys. And, I'm happy for them, but I'm still a bit not satisfied with both the two of them. Because there's still more mountains to climb. Yeah. You'd think you are done, but you're not done. Abidale now is in Algeria. He's not yet done. I want him to be at Saudi Arabia, for example, in those big leagues. I want Mwaka. To me, Mwaka should have, helped us with the dual career. Someone who schools and play football. But it's not the case in our country. So he had to quit school, like Abidale had to quit school so that they pursue this football career. I know that they're both brilliant. Make no mistake, they're both brilliant. Just listen to Mwaka. He's not speaking from somewhere, but he's speaking from a script. He actually wrote this thing. And that's what I taught him, that for you to be perfect, you need to put things down so that you repeat them and you'll be able to be comfortable. Gape, is something else. His father passed away. Both boys now, their fathers passed away, so I'm actually that their fathers. And girls, I don't know. I just don't know.
Continue doing the work that you do. God will bless you multiple times than you can imagine. Now, moving on to football projects. Everybody that I engage and, everybody we've heard today, they speak about your love, for community, for education, for welfare. And you've actually done quite a number of projects, the Christmas tournaments they mentioned, the relationship, that you have with Khaswe in terms of the World Cleanup Day. You've also, have a relationship with the Prisons Ladies Football Club, which you will talk to. What is it with you and football that you continue to do these projects? What are you trying to achieve, or what have you achieved?
The fundamental value of football was socialization. That we're socializing as friends, as families. It then went to ethnic groups. It then went to villages, districts. Now it's countries, continent against continent. But at the end, where it started, it was all about socializing. So it brings people together. And one thing that we play for actually is pride. That's all we play for. So as we do all those things, we should be cognizant of the foundational value that we're here to socialize. And socializing means we need to develop friendship. 90 minutes can separate us, but after 90 minutes, we need to be friends again. So that's why all these things, I'm able to do them, because football is a unifier, like Nelson Mandela used to say. But who are we as Botswana, and why did we play football? We played it for pride, we played it to make friends, we played it to make networks. So, and we should be very cognizant of our environment. That's why now we do the World Cleanup Day with Kazwe, because during COVID we became a signatory of United Nations Framework for Climate Change. To say, it's COVID, what are we doing? Nothing that we're doing. After COVID, then what? There's a lot of disruption that happened. And as the world was moving, then came the ESG. Framework, which says now as an organization we need to channel our objectives, to channel our energies towards that. And that's why now, you look at Palapolo Stars, you're like, where is Palapolo Stars now? You might think it's instinct. It's not instinct. It's actually a bamboo tree, It's still getting its strength, because the things that we used to do there, they are no longer relevant now. And we cannot, try to, stick our heads above the sea and say, no, we're here, no, we're not there, we're under. Because the thinking has changed altogether. So we're still finding ways to, to help ourselves. The prisons ladies, I like the prisons. When I met Mr. Kolche, he came as a person who's very cooperative. I like the ladies' project. And I remember when in 2019, we actually came with a concept together with one guy called Tebogo. It was North versus South, under 23. And we wanted to do that thing on annual basis. And I said, there's prisons, ladies team. So we need to get another team from the other side. We wanted to continue that on annual basis, but because of COVID, that happened. And then I continued to work with prisons to help them, with other things, because I liked them and there are people who are receptive. But, working with the government sometimes it becomes difficult, because some things are actually just beyond your control. Whatever you try to influence, you might not find it. But, projects are projects for actually sustaining the community, sustaining friendship. And to me, girls, I always said football should subscribe to socialism. That's what Moma Karafi said. To say socialism is saying every person must get what they have sown. If it's a farmer, for example, or we are farming, who works more?
The head boy.
Is the head boy, and is the cultivator.
Yeah.
But at the end, the owner gets all the money.
Yeah.
But these people are the ones who are supposed to be getting more money. And when you look at Moma Karavi's principles, it was about that. And would you believe, when a woman was pregnant, she will still get full pay from work. And she will even be paid for having bred that kid. Because of other things that they had in their own country, they made sure that everyone benefits. That's socialism. Socialism says we shouldn't be egoist. It shouldn't be about me. It should be about everyone in this environment and where I am. So that's why, and that's how I try to subscribe to this socialism principle and say, I need to help there, I need to help here, and so on and so forth.
There's a lot we need to unpack, Molf, and I just can't. I don't know where to end. I don't know. There's a lot from you, but let's talk about, or maybe conclude with, words of encouragement from your life growing up to where you are now. In that aspects that we've spoke about, what is next for you, and what are you encouraging, future Mols out there to do about life?
I would say to people, we are not stuck. That's according to Nick Williams. We are not stuck. The reason why we think we are stuck is because we believe in old programming, attitude, perception. Time has changed. As an individual, you have the power to influence anything that you want. And at the end, it's not about you. Everyone has a purpose in life. And you need to listen to yourself. And as you listen to yourself, you're actually having a conversation with God to say, God, what do I need to do? Yeah. And people must respect themselves as gods. Because that's the mistake that we're making. We think there is God somewhere out there, while God is actually within yourself. Give yourself that respect. Listen to yourself more. Have time with yourself. Sometimes you just look up the sky and you see stars. Look where this is coming from. That's God for you. It's miracle, and a miracle is actually, it lives within you, and whatever you do, because you thought through it, know that that's not your thinking, but God's thinking, and that's me. I'll even post something on Facebook. That's not me speaking at the time. Someone will come and wanna cry. I will look at this guy. I'm like, who does this one think he is? Because I'm a reflection of God.
Yeah.
And it says every human being is made in the image of God. People forget that. And other people, they will judge other people by going to church and stuff. No. You yourself, you are your own temple. Yeah. That's what God said, is your body is a temple. So having a meeting with yourself, that's you in congregation.
Yeah.
You understand? So as people, we need to listen to ourselves more and listen to other people. Create that synergy, understand them, and welcome everything that they say into us. Don't block it out. Listen, absorb, have a meeting with yourself, have your meeting with your congregation, understand what needs to be done, and God will help you. I tell you, you'll see things as they unfold.
Indeed, we live a purposeful life, as Molf said, that is one ordained by the Almighty God. Molefhi, Kannemeyer, Obenne, for part 1 of our episode, I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us, on the football experience, and really appreciate the good work that you do.
Thanks a lot, Carlos. I'm really humbled by this opportunity, and I have actually learned a lot of things about myself that I didn't know. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. That was Molefhi Kannemeyer Obenne sharing his football experience with us. But stay tuned on the football experiences for part 2 as we continue with Molf Obenne, King Molf as we know him. And in the next episode, we're going to talk more about his journey as a sports analyst in the Football Sunday Soccer Show in Yarna FM, as well as, his football sports administration, A Fool's Paradise book, and so many more. So we'll meet again on the next episode. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.